Hello, it's Dane Scott, along with Pocket Frog.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to Studio Takes. Good to have you. You know, there are a couple different ways, probably more than a couple, but there are two that I'm thinking about today that can put you in the doghouse on Fiverr.
That's a little disturbing.
So let's find out what they are and what can be done about them. How can they be addressed? Can they be fixed? That's next.
Studio Takes. Real help for the aspiring voiceover artist and Fiverr entrepreneur.
Let's swing by the Gig Doctor real quick here, thegigdoctor.com, and I want to show you a new entry on the home page. This is my buddy Amy Weyerhauser, and she did a Gig Doctor with me recently and just had a really nice testimonial comment that you put up on Facebook. So we did a quote here on the website, the VO Edge over on Fiverr. Let's actually go over there. For those that are watching, this is one of her gigs. This is her latest one, which I helped her to set up. And don't you love that picture there? This is the Nurturing Mom gig that she has set up. And I think it's just worthwhile listening to her demo here. Check this out.
4 out of 5 kids don't eat enough vegetables. So it's good to know there are 10 varieties of Campbell's soup. Campbell's soup. Good. We've always been an Ivory family. We know we can trust it. Safe even for a baby's delicate skin. Ivory. You can feel sure because it's pure. If you ask a kid what's in Kick cereal, they'll say crunchy little corn balls. And they'd be right. There's no colorings, no fake flavorings, no junky stuff. Kix, kid tested, mother approved. Your smile says a lot about you. But when you're uncomfortable about your teeth, it's easy to hold back your smile. Invisalign. Express yourself fully. By their second kid, every mom is an expert and way more likely to choose Loves than first-time moms. Live, learn, and get loves.
Isn't that great? She does nice stuff. So that's Amy, and thanks for her kind comments there on our Gig Doctor page. All right, let's get to it today. This can be a real concern, and I'd like to address it very seriously with you today. 2 things that can hurt you in your Fiverr account. They can impact you in a variety of ways. The 2 things are disappointing ratings. You know, the 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, 1-star. If you get those low ratings, it can hurt you in your overall. I think probably can hurt you overall in your orders. It certainly hurts your reputation. It kind of hurts your feelings, especially if you put a lot of work into an order. The other thing is cancellations. And cancellations can come from the buyer, and they can also come from the seller. But cancellations in general can be a problem. Let me explain especially. Let's start with the cancellations, actually. The big problem with cancellations is that they affect your overall completion rate, order completion rate. And if you don't have a lot of orders, so let's say you've had 10 orders in the past 30 days and 2 of them were canceled, your completion rate drops to 80%. There's a certain threshold below which you can no longer maintain your current level on Fiverr. So if you're a level 2 seller, or if you're a level 1 seller, or if you're just a starting seller, you're not going to affect your level any. But if you've advanced some, you don't want to plunge that level back down by having too many cancellations. And yet things can happen. I mean, you might get an order for something X-rated. Maybe you will not do things for illicit drugs. There could be any number of areas where you just can't bring yourself to go. And if those kind of things occur, it may be better to take a level hit than to compromise your soul, so to speak, and to do things that you really feel are against your own morality and, what you consider right and wrong. So there's that. Those kind of cancellations we just have to deal with the best we can. But there are cancellations sometimes that can be avoided if you take the right approach with a buyer. Now, let's say that the problem is not that, that the material is objectionable, but maybe that the buyer's expectations have become, or started out even, to be unreasonable. Maybe you offer a certain amount for a certain amount, and when they place the order with you, you discover that they've placed the order for X amount and they've supplied you with Y amount and it's way more work than what they've actually ordered. Okay, so what do you do? Well, you can get back to them and you can add a custom extra on and you can say, this actually requires more of whatever it is that you do than what was ordered, so here is the additional amount that we would need to add. Or maybe it's just that they didn't include an important extra. In the case of voiceovers, broadcast rights, if they're going to be broadcasting this on the radio or on television or in a stream. Or maybe it's even like a big network ad or a big social media campaign, and all they've paid you was for like a $5 order or a $10 order. That's kind of a problem. So you send the extras that are required and they get back to you, and maybe because you're newer on Fiverr, maybe you're still getting started, maybe your rates are still really low and you're dealing with some of the less desirable customers, they come back to you and they say, no way, Jose, this isn't going to happen. You're trying to cheat me. You hear all kinds of things. For every customer like that, there are many, many customers, even at the lower range, that are quite reasonable and nice to work with. And the higher you go up, the less you see of those kinds of problems. But again, for some reason, maybe, they threaten to cancel. They say, look, unless you're willing to do it for this amount, let's just cancel it right now. You are going to very likely feel like, fine. I can't wait to get rid of you, man, or lady, whatever. This has been a problem. You're a pain. But what we have to do is to just kind of soft pedal it a little bit, to step back and say, okay, do we really want to do this? Not so much to them, but to ourselves. So let me give you a really simple example. It's one I've talked about before. It's one that some people have said has been pretty helpful as a piece of advice to them, and I'll pass it along to you. Let's say that it's a commercial rights thing. That's a very common one. They ordered, you do require commercial rights on whatever basis in my own case, what I say is, unless it's for your own strictly personal use, commercial rights must be added. Okay, but whatever your criteria is, you have commercial rights and they did not add it, and so you send them an extra just after they order and say, thanks so much for your order. Here is the required commercial rights extra. Most of the time, especially if you use the word required, boom, they just grab it, no problem. But occasionally you'll have the person that says, well, if you're going to be like that, then I want to cancel. or oh, gosh, I didn't realize that commercial rights was going to be required for this because it's for this cause or this purpose or whatever. And here's what I suggest you do. This is what I do. You can do whatever you like. But what I say is, look, it's clear that you just misunderstood about the commercial rights. Let me give them to you this time as a thank you for trying my services. And next time we'll make sure to include them. Fair enough? ? And 9 times out of 10, that solves the problem. I'd say it's higher than that. It's probably 95% of the time. It solves the problem, and they say, okay, matter of fact, they're usually pretty grateful and almost sound relieved in their answers, like, whew, good, okay, this guy wants to work with me. And the fact that we've also predicated it on the idea that in the future they're going to have to include commercial rights takes a little of the pain out of it for us at the same time. So everybody wins on it. Commercial rights usually isn't a huge amount of money anyway. So if it isn't there, the fact that you have, you're still going to get paid something for the job. You're not going to get the cancellation, and it's going to keep you afloat. If you've only got like 8 or 10 orders in a month, 1 or 2 cancellations can really hurt. Like I mentioned, they could actually drop you down a level. So just this one simple little trick of negotiating with them, of trying to resolve the issue. If it's a situation where what they are offering or asking you to do is something that just goes against your principles and you absolutely can't do it, better to take the hit, better to even drop in a level than to do that. The other thing that we run into is ratings that are disappointing. And ratings are not as much of a factor in terms of your ranking on Fiverr. In terms of Fiverr's view of you, I don't think. I mean, it certainly impacts impressions and how much you're going to show up in the ratings, but I think it's less likely to drop you a level. on Fiverr. But it really can impact, where you show up in the search rankings. Obviously Fiverr is going to want to promote a 5-star person over a 2.5-star person, for example. And here again, the fewer orders you've had recently, the more impact these stars have on you. So if you have only been on Fiverr for a while and you've maybe done 20 orders and you've had a couple of 2.5 star things happen in there, suddenly you're at, I don't know what the math would be, but let's say you're at 4.7 or 4.6 or something like that. Well, still, 4.6 out of 5 in the real world would sound pretty good, but the fact is that people generally always get 5-star rankings on Fiverr. So if you show that your average is below that, people look at you a little funny, and if it's even lower, if maybe you've only had a couple, 3 orders and one of them was a 1-star ranking, you're going to look awful. It's just going to look bad. You're going to show 2.5 stars over the few rankings that you've had, and people are not going to order from you. They're going to look at that and go, nah, I don't think so. Moving on, next. So what do you do about that? Well, not much. If you've gotten the ranking and they intended on it, that's one thing. But let me tell you about a situation that happened to me yesterday that I think is pretty interesting. First of all, unless someone gives you a ranking that in some way or writes a review that in some way violates terms of service at Fiverr, Fiverr cannot and will not change that for you. So appealing to them and saying, look, this person was not being fair when they gave me this ranking because this. No, they're not going to do anything with that. But now here's the cool little thing that I tried and succeeded with yesterday. I finished up a nice order for a client. I've been doing some kind of big jobs for him, and I really did put my effort into it, and I made a nice recording, I felt, and I put a lot of dramatic influence into the narration. It was for a short story. And, when I got all done, I delivered it, and then he accepted it right away. I didn't have to wait the multiple days for it to get accepted. He accepted it right away. And then here came the thing where it says, okay, they have left you a tip. Oh, that's nice. And sometimes you'll find out that you got a tip even before you have a chance to read their write-up of you, because you have to leave your own review of them before you get to see their review of you. So I did leave then a review and the usual kind words and thank you and what I like about the particular buyer. And then it took me to the review that I got, and sure enough, he had written a very nice write-up about me. He had given me a nice tip, and he'd given me 4.7 stars. And I thought, wait a minute, how can that be? Unless he just is one of these people, and there are a few like this, that are just never going to give you 5 stars no matter what. They're just, 5 stars is perfection. Nobody's perfect. So therefore, this is the best I can give you because, nobody is 5 stars. But I thought, he had left me 5 stars before. So I just thought, okay, that's a little strange. So I wrote to him. I didn't say, hey, did you accidentally give me a lower rating? Because that just would sound funny. But what I did say was, and I wrote to him personally with this through the inbox conversation. Thanks again for the latest order. I really appreciated the tip. On the next order, I'll do everything I can to get my rating up to 5 stars for you. So I just said it like that. Try to keep it real positive to say, I'll do, an even better job next time and see if we can get it up to 5 stars. I think that was pretty close to the wording that I used. And he wrote back and he said, I messed up. I clicked the wrong thing. And so one of the 3 different ranking areas where they rank you by stars, there's like 3 different ones. He had just clicked the wrong number of stars. And so that's what had happened there. And I said, he said, I'm not sure how to, I've been trying to figure out how to fix it. I said, maybe you could just contact customer service. And I do have a link that takes you right to the form that you can fill out when you want to appeal to customer service about something. So I sent him that link. And when I woke up this morning and checked, Sure enough, it was 5 stars across the board on the order. So, little magic trick there. You can't contact Fiverr and say, I want you to change their rating or their ranking, but they can contact Fiverr and say, I messed up. Can you please fix this for me? This should have been 5 stars. So that one little trick right there, if you suspect that maybe they accidentally did it, don't say that to them. Don't say, hey, looks like you accidentally gave me 4 stars, because it's kind of suggesting that it would be an impossibility that you wouldn't get 5, and that would be presumptuous. But what you can do is to say something along the lines of what I said just a few minutes ago. It was awesome working with you on this, and I promise that I'll work even harder next time to see if I can get that ranking up to 5 stars. And by doing it that way, you're putting a positive spin on it, and you're giving them the opportunity to notice and maybe do something about a ranking that's lower than 5 stars. And that's my suggestion for today.
Time to fire up the comments.
Now let me ask you a question. You can answer in the YouTube comments or in the podcast comments. What sorts of things have happened with your account on Fiverr that have affected your ranking and your impressions, and what have you been able to do about it? I would love to hear what you have to say about that. Please subscribe to the channel or to the podcast, and then hit the bell so that you're notified, ding, every time a new one comes up. And don't miss out on the next edition of Studio Takes. Thank you. I'm Dane Scott.
You give me a call.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello, I think.
Hello, cutie pie.
Until I heard the voice, I'd never done a crazy thing in my whole life.
Goodbye.